gonna have a future in this town, it's gotta have some law and order.
You have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me!
I'm your Huckleberry. With those 4 words delivered with eerie calm by Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday, Tombstone cemented itself in film history and gave us one of cinema's most quotable lines. Released in 1993, this stylish portrayal of the legendary lawman Wyatt Earp and the gunfight at the OK Corral emerged during a fascinating revival of the Western genre. While Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven had just swept the Academy Awards and Kevin Costner's Dances with Wolves had redefined the epic Western landscape, Tombstone took a different approach, embracing the mythic qualities of its historical figures while delivering a visceral, action-packed experience. Made for approximately $25 million and eventually grossing $56 million at the box office, Tombstone wasn't the biggest commercial hit of its era, but it accomplished something far more valuable. It captured the imagination of audiences and created a lasting cultural footprint that continues to resonate 3 decades later. The film had to overcome significant production challenges, including the firing of original director Kevin Jarrah just a month into shooting when the studio felt he couldn't handle the scope of the production. George P. Cosmatos stepped in to replace him, though Kurt Russell later revealed he had effectively ghost-directed much of the film. At its core, Tombstone isn't just about gunfights and frontier justice. It's about loyalty, family bonds, and the price of violence, even when that violence serves the cause of order. What made this film transcend the typical Western revival of its time was its unique blend of historical accuracy, stylized violence, and absolutely magnetic performances from an ensemble cast firing on all cylinders. The film's portrayal of Wyatt Earp differs significantly from other depictions, presenting him not as a squeaky clean hero, but as a complicated man drawn back into violence despite his best intentions. This more nuanced approach, combined with the film's remarkable attention to historical detail in everything from costumes to dialogue, created a Western that felt both authentic and dramatically compelling. Many lines in the film, including some of Doc Holliday's most memorable quips, were taken directly from historical accounts. Let's explore how Tombstone managed to both honor Western traditions while simultaneously reinventing them for a modern audience, and why, decades later, we're still fascinated by the man with the silver-handled revolver and his notorious vendetta ride against the outlaw cowboys who threatened the peace of the Arizona Territory. Tombstone's visual storytelling prowess is evident from the first frame to the last. Director of photography William A. Fraker, known for his work on Rosemary's Baby and Bullet, crafted a visual language that enhances the film's themes through deliberate color symbolism and composition. Wyatt Earp's wardrobe progression from light civilian clothes to his signature black duster mirrors his transformation from reluctant participant to vengeful lawman. Meanwhile, Doc Holliday's more flamboyant attire, often in lighter colors with splashes of red, visually reinforces his role as the dangerously unpredictable wild card in the story. The film's most striking technical achievement might be its balletic approach to violence. Unlike many westerns that preceded it, Tombstone's gunfights are choreographed with precision that emphasizes both brutal efficiency and emotional impact. The OK Corral sequence unfolds in just over 30 seconds of screen time, yet it remains one of cinema's most memorable shootouts. The camera moves with purpose during this sequence, tracking the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday as they march toward their confrontation with the cowboys, building tension through continuous movement rather than relying on quick cuts. Production designer Catherine Hardwicke deserves significant credit for creating a Tombstone that feels authentic while still serving the film's dramatic needs. The town itself becomes a character, with its bustling oriental saloon, the opulent birdcage theater, and dusty streets that seem perpetually on the edge between civilization and chaos. Period-accurate details extend to everything from the ornate Victorian furnishings in the homes of Tombstone's elite to the distinctive red sashes worn by the cowboy gang. Bruce Broughton's score warrants special mention for how it avoids Western music cliches while still honoring the genre's traditions. Rather than leaning on expected harmonica solos or twangy guitars, Broughton created a symphonic score with Wagnerian touches that elevate the mythic quality of the narrative. The main theme, with its driving rhythm and heroic brass fanfare, underscores Wyatt's transformation into an avenging force. Perhaps most impressively, Tombstone achieves all this while overcoming production troubles that would have derailed lesser films. films. After original director Kevin Jarre was removed, the production continued under George Cosmatos, though Kurt Russell later revealed he had worked closely with Cosmatos to maintain Jarre's vision. This behind-the-scenes drama resulted in some scenes being cut, particularly those developing the political dimensions of the conflict between the Earps and the Cowboys. Despite these challenges, the film maintains a remarkable cohesion that speaks to the dedication of its cast and crew. Tombstone boasts one of the most memorable ensemble casts in Western cinema, with performances that transformed good material into something extraordinary. At the center of this constellation of talent is Val Kilmer's portrayal of Doc Holliday, a performance so magnetic it threatened to overshadow the film's ostensible protagonist. Kilmer's dedication to capturing Holliday's complex character is evident in every frame. The southern drawl he perfected, the consumptive physicality he maintained throughout filming, and the dangerous charm he exuded. Kilmer reportedly studied recordings of southern accents and lost a significant amount of weight to capture Holliday's tuberculosis-ravaged appearance. The result is a character simultaneously tragic and terrifying, a dying man using his remaining time to help his only friend. Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp provides the perfect counterbalance to Kilmer's flamboyant Holliday. Russell portrays Earp as a man of few words who communicates volumes through his physical presence and unwavering stare. The restraint in Russell's performance makes Earp's eventual embrace of violence all the more impactful when he finally declares, "No, no, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me."
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
After his brother's murder, the emotional dam breaks with devastating effect. Russell was reportedly instrumental in preserving the film's vision after the director changed, even going so far as to guide many scenes himself. Michael Biehn's Johnny Ringo deserves special mention as one of cinema's most chilling villains. Biehn portrays Ringo as Holliday's dark reflection, equally educated and skilled with a gun, but lacking the moral compass that ultimately guides Doc. Their Latin-quoting confrontation in the Oriental Saloon establishes their intellectual parity, while their final duel provides the film's most satisfying dramatic resolution. Biehn's performance suggests depths of psychosis and self-loathing that elevate Ringo beyond a typical Western antagonist. The film's most memorable sequences derive their power from how these performances interact with the story's themes of justice, loyalty, and the cost of violence. The OK Corral shootout itself is relatively brief, but the build-up to it, including Virgil Earp's decision to enforce the town's weapons ordinance and Doc Holliday stepping in for the ailing Morgan Earp, gives it tremendous emotional weight. Later, the night ambush sequence, where Wyatt walks directly into gunfire, seemingly protected by his righteous fury, creates a moment of almost supernatural power that underscores the film's exploration of vengeance as both destructive and necessary. Behind these performances were fascinating casting stories that nearly resulted in a very different film. Willem Dafoe was originally considered for Doc Holliday before Val Kilmer secured the role. Mickey Rourke was approached to play Curly Bill Brocious before Powers Booth took the part. These casting decisions, along with bringing in experienced character actors like Sam Elliott as Virgil Earp and Bill Paxton as Morgan Earp, created a depth of talent that elevated even minor scenes into memorable moments. Tombstone's initial critical reception was notably mixed, with some reviewers dismissing it as merely another entry in the Western revival trend. The Washington Post criticized its convoluted plot, while the New York Times found fault with its unfocused narrative. Yet audiences responded differently, propelling the film to modest box office success, despite competing directly with Kevin Costner's more expensive Wyatt Earp biopic released just 6 months later. This divide between critical assessment and audience appreciation would become a defining characteristic of Tombstone's cultural journey. What's fascinating about Tombstone is how dramatically its reputation evolved in the decades following its release. The film that critics initially regarded as somewhat derivative has since been embraced as a modern classic of the genre. This evolution can be traced through its remarkable home video performance, where it consistently ranked among the top-selling Western titles year after year. The director's cut, released on DVD in 2002, restored approximately 20 minutes of footage that deepened character relationships and political context, particularly regarding the Cowboys' connections to larger criminal enterprises and corrupt politicians. This extended version gave viewers a more complete picture of director George Cosmatos' vision. The film's controversial elements have also been reassessed over time. What some critics initially viewed as historical inaccuracies have been increasingly recognized as conscious artistic choices that often hewed closer to historical reality than expected. Tombstone's portrayal of the cowboys as an organized criminal network wearing identifying red sashes seemed theatrically exaggerated to some reviewers, yet historical records confirm this detail. Similarly, many of Doc Holliday's most quotable lines, including variations of "I'm your Huckleberry," appear in historical accounts of the real Holliday's speech pattern.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Among the fascinating hidden details that reward repeated viewings is the film's careful attention to historical accuracy in unexpected places. The elaborate period costumes designed by Joseph A. Porro were based on actual photographs from 1880s Tombstone. The prosthetic nose Kurt Russell wears throughout the film accurately reflects contemporary descriptions of Wyatt Earp's distinctive facial features. Even minor characters like Billy Clanton, played by Thomas Hayden Church, and Frank Stillwell, Thomas Arana, bear striking resemblances to their historical counterparts. Perhaps most surprising is how the film's reputation has ascended while its contemporaries have receded somewhat in cultural memory. Costner's Wyatt Earp, despite its bigger budget and longer runtime, failed to achieve the same lasting impact. Unforgiven, though critically acclaimed and Oscar-winning, doesn't generate the same level of quotable dialogue and fan enthusiasm. Tombstone has evolved from just another Western to a cultural touchstone whose lines and images have permeated popular consciousness far beyond genre enthusiasts. Tombstone's influence on subsequent Westerns cannot be overstated. Its success proved that audiences could still connect with the genre when presented with the right combination of historical authenticity and modern storytelling techniques. Films like the 2007 remake of 3:10 to Yuma directly borrowed from Tombstone's playbook, balancing character-driven drama with bursts of stylized violence. The HBO series Deadwood, with its profane dialogue and morally complex portrayal of frontier justice, shares Tombstone's interest in the messy realities behind Western myths. Even contemporary neo-westerns like Hell or High Water echo Tombstone's exploration of loyalty and brotherhood in lawless landscapes. Beyond simply influencing other films, Tombstone has achieved something far more rare. It has become a persistent cultural reference point. Doc Holliday's lines in particular have transcended their original context to become shorthand for cool confidence in the face of danger. "I'm your Huckleberry" appears on t-shirts, internet memes, and is frequently quoted in situations far removed from 19th century gunfights. The film's portrayal of the Earp brothers' solidarity has similarly become emblematic of unwavering familial loyalty. When modern discussions turn to concepts of justice, vengeance, and the dangers of taking the law into one's own hands, Tombstone is frequently cited as a compelling exploration of these themes. What makes Tombstone particularly relevant today is how it navigates questions of authority and vigilantism that continue to resonate in contemporary society. The film presents a world where institutional justice is fragile and easily corrupted, where Sheriff Bain is in the cowboy's pocket and the law provides insufficient protection against organized criminality. Wyatt's transformation from someone who explicitly states, "I'm not a lawman anymore," to the leader of a federal posse reflects an ambivalence about authority that feels particularly relevant to modern discussions about justice and its limitations. Tombstone also reframed historical figures in ways that have permanently altered public perception. Before this film, Doc Holliday was primarily known as a dangerous sidekick in the Earp story. Val Kilmer's portrayal elevated him to a tragic, brilliant figure whose loyalty and skill made him the film's most compelling character. Similarly, the complex portrayal of Wyatt Earp, showing both his commitment to order and his capacity for brutal vengeance, provided a more nuanced understanding of a historical figure often flattened into a simplistic lawman archetype. 30 years after its release, Tombstone remains powerful because it recognizes that the most enduring Western stories aren't simply about who shot whom, but about the costs of violence on those who enact it. When Wyatt Earp walks away from Tombstone at the film's conclusion, having avenged his brothers but lost much in the process, we're left with a question that remains as relevant today as it was in 1881. What price are we willing to pay for justice, and what do we become in its pursuit? The film that began with the statement that the cowboys were the first organized crime group in America ends as a meditation on how violence, even when justified, transforms those who wield it. In a cultural moment once again questioning the boundaries between justice and vengeance, Tombstone's exploration of these themes ensures its continued relevance as not just a great Western, But as a great American film, Tombstone stands as a testament to how powerful storytelling can transcend its era. What began as just another Western has evolved into a cultural touchstone that continues to fascinate audiences decades after its release. Through its magnetic performances, historical authenticity, and exploration of timeless themes, the film has earned its place in cinema history not just as an exceptional genre piece, but as a compelling meditation on justice, loyalty, and the price of violence. As we've seen, beneath the quotable lines and spectacular gunfights lies a film of surprising depth and lasting relevance. Whether you're revisiting Tombstone for the 20th time or considering your first watch, there's always something new to discover in the dusty streets of the Arizona territory. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into Tombstone, consider subscribing for more explorations of cinema's most enduring classics. What other 90s films deserve a fresh analysis? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember, it's not revenge we're after, it's a reckoning.